Hi, and welcome to the very best off-peak lobby that Bar has to offer. We're going to go over some high-level plays, particularly from our high OS friends, such as Ironstorm, Apex. We've got Skill and Duxie and Sneaky Maneuver from Grump. They're on the other team. So we were up against it. We're in the south team here. Up in the corner, I nabbed this cozy little position in Canyon that we all know and love. And I'm going to push forward and just do my age-old play, which, as we can see, is the Whistler Yanis, however it's pronounced. We've got Baby Oil on air, which is going to be up against it, against Skill. Now, the focus a little bit on this map is actually going to be what Duxie gets up to here. Basically, we're up against a very offensive play and not essentially getting harmed too much. The sneaky maneuver is living up to his name by sneaking down the side here. Quite far, in fact, that's very far. Almost gets the T1. Just exerting some pressure and allowing Duxie to actually take some mexes in the anti-canyon area, which is quite interesting. A lot of good players, they really do lead with their commander, I noticed, building mexes to defend themselves, which is an interesting strategy. I'm sure there's something to it. Ironstorm absolutely loves these T1 guards. I think if I was going to suggest a change to Ironstorm's play, perhaps they're trying to get a construction vehicle up here, but get this construction vehicle up a little bit sooner with something like an artillery or something like that, just effectively push back on this line. But we're at least going to go the anti-artillery route, which is to have these construction turrets. It is much cheaper, I'll give it that, and heal our laser turrets as they get bombarded. We're going to look at the base of Grump Duxie, so a very quick geo. It's up around the 6-minute mark or a little bit before, and we're seeing plenty of wind getting produced. These energy converters, I'm not sure if it's a update, but I'm sure these energy converters are much more competitive with T2 energy converters now. I might be wrong. Let me know if that's not the case, but yeah, I feel like they're almost as good now. And you can go a fair way into the game relying on T1 energy converters and be quite happy with that. What's going on here? Sneaky maneuvers just sort of hanging out. AFK. But yeah, being very offensively minded, which is cool, don't get me wrong, but sometimes when you build the turrets too far forward, particularly in an open position like this, it's really indefensible. They don't have the ranged advantage against very common missile and rocket trucks, so very brave sneaky maneuver. Almost had the Rocketeers to help test, but will now almost lose a commander. Overextended. But I think that was part of a ploy, was just to do this very cheap offensive. If we go over and look at Duxie, what Duxie's up to, not a lot of damage done really on the whole. Sneaky maneuver done a bit more. We're getting asked to pressure. In fact, I think we're pressuring quite a bit. We're up there in damage, but I'm trying to be a little bit more conservative and repair up my Yanises. Light Wolf likewise trying to play a very offensive game. So we've got this super early T2. Look at all these construction turrets, that is absolutely crazy. Getting these advanced mexes up really quickly, then helping out with the energy converters. Oh, we could see this Hercules transporting the construction turrets. So Light Wolf keeps on pushing, we keep on pushing all fronts as best we're able to. Although we are getting hit by a gauntlet here, which Ironstorm will always allow to happen to his neighbours. At least Ironstorm's brought one artillery piece to sort of badger them with. And so pretty much we're seeing no pressure here after that. Just getting the defences in order, and there's nothing venturing into the canyon as such. It's got a few units in it though, it's not that easy to attack. Right into this advanced hazardous geothermal. Very efficient for 1600 metal to produce 1250 energy. The smoking ruins of my defences are here. Light Wolf and I are the absolute punching bag for the team at the moment. But the rest of the fronts, just all pretty long-range stuff. Nothing too fantastic. I think Dead Space has perhaps overreacted with units and then just does the cardinal mistake of sitting on them. You do want to repair them, mind you, but perhaps repair the ones that damage and send the rest into pressure. Because we can see a very thin veneer of defences, while behind it's just 1,000,000,000% eco. And these construction turrets are brought up to build the advanced mexes much, much faster, which is really interesting. Now we're getting spiders against us from Apex, so this is getting pretty hardcore. Doesn't mean we can't fight back, but we're going to be up against it, particularly with these forces. Yeah, the canyon getting the beatings for sure. So funnily enough, we see this T2 being put up, but because of the lack of pressure, it's going straight into a T3. So a very adaptable build. You know, we've just only got our T2 off tech at around the 12-minute mark. Certainly relies on that early T2 and wording tech up. And that's what I'm seeing what high OS players do, and it's good to watch this. Just the little tricks and things they do to get their econ up so much further than you'd think. Over on the alternate side, we've sort of seen maybe a bit of a sluggish tech from Dead Space in comparison. Although we are seeing this T2 building recluses quite up far. But overall, Duxie is not taking any damage, so it can just go full absolute eco. We see this 13-minute T3 come out, starting to produce shivers. Wow, this is so much more effective. Hayaji says in the comments, laughing my ass off. Yeah, 13-minute T3 is pretty ridiculous. Yeah, meanwhile at our base, we're the walking wounded. So this team is just walking all over us. Pretty much all I can do here is guerrilla warfare. These tiny amount of units. I don't even know why it's so tiny. Usually I produce much more than this. I guess because we just happen to be gunning up quite quickly. So we're going through our T2 building phase at the same time, which always does slow down the unit production somewhat. Still enough to pressure, with Ironstorm's help of course, enough to pressure away Apex. I think we're going to move our focus to these T3s and how much damage the Shivers can do. They're really effective against T1 units in particular, and 14 minutes in, there's obviously still a lot of these on the board. It's primarily a T1 game. So crazy. On this side, we're seeing Dead Space actually move forward against one Shiva. Look at it just blow up all those spiders. Yeah, the spiders aren't going to do shit against Shivers. Definitely not a counter unit, but it's what they had. So I don't know what... sharpshooters. So spybots and sharpshooters is the response to this. Which makes sense. Spybots aren't cheap though. Dead Space comes in with the commander. Boom. That don't even work. But we do have an out of energy snipe there in the end. Get taken out by pawns from sneaky maneuver. What a dreadfully effective thing. On our side, I'm getting taken down by this Twin Guard, which is doing a horrific amount of work. This is a very effective wall off here. Just with one Twin Guard this far back. Yeah, surprisingly hard to take down. I think it's all over. This early T3 really worked well. What a ridiculous build. 13 minutes. Shivers have really good cost effectiveness. So they're almost like a fast fat boy. Almost. It seems to be like the DPS. They've got a really good splash damage, particularly against T1 units. Their DPS is quite good. I mean, 428. I don't know what to equate that with. Yeah, I guess a fat boy, but it's a really high DPS unit, particularly with the splash damage. And it shoots fairly regularly. So it's good against T1. I think the reload's 1.9. It's also got a decent missile on it. I'm not sure how that's equated into the DPS. So it's got heavy cannon and heavy rockets. So they just combine. So the heavy cannon is 300 and the rockets are about 100. But the rockets are 800 range. Yeah, so they're very good anti-siege weapons, the Shivers overall. And they've got, I'm not sure, but it's a lot of health, because both of these don't have full health. This is about halfway, so it's got over 10,000 health, which is ridiculous. And it only costs 1,500 metal, so they're very efficient units, in fact, from a metal standpoint. And the speed's not bad either, at sort of 48. And they've got that bot maneuverability to be able to move back and forth. Look at them. Yeah, I mean, they cost as much of a fat boy and they're so much better. So much faster. Got that giant missile to boost and a lot more hit points. And speed is everything with a decent unit for multiplayer. I think this is just too much for us because we've also got a Kargranth. Look at the missiles wind around. So this is too much. That was crazy. So that's why it's important to always pressure. And look, that's what's going to happen in a game where you maybe get some early aggression against you. You get a little bit of coy. That's a psychological thing, by the way, that players abuse all the time. So if you're ever getting that early aggression, you're going to want to overbuild defenses, build them too far back, build too many units of response, sit there too much. There was a study done on some sort of bug, and they put them in a jar basically, and they'd be jumping out like crazy at the start, but you put the lid on them for 3 days, they won't jump out once you take the lid off. Even though it's gone, they will choose to stay in the jar. And that's what happens with us as well, players, when we play the game. When we get that early aggression, we do get a little bit attentive, and Duxie took full advantage of that, run this psychological operation along with sneaky maneuver, and then basically pulled back and wasn't irresponsible, because did build that T2 to contest some aggression. With all those turrets, could have built it really quickly, but in the end decided to go up to the T3 because the Shivas are so cool in the early game. Very effective unit. They're cool all throughout the game actually, but the early game they're just ridiculous. So Duxie gets the bull, as well deserved. For that play, pretty much single-handedly won it. Even though we were getting pushed back, Light Wolf and I are decent Canyon players, and we're up the top of damage received and damage given all throughout the game, and we held out in the end. We were able to push back with a little bit of help from Ironstall, but that's also because we were getting like 3 players pushing on us at times. So we managed to hold out, but it was really this side of the anti-Canyon just has to put a lot more pressure on in their role to make sure no sort of ridiculous plays are put like that. Even this advanced geothermal, if you can get air to scout this, I mean, if it's there, you might as well do everything to blow that up, then this is going to be leveled. So yeah, a risky play, but 13 minutes T3, that was funny to see. Thank you for watching this shorter game today. I thought it was super interesting. If you did, help me beat the algorithm into a pulp by smashing the like button, smashing subscribe, leaving a nasty comment. No, don't, please. Just only kind comments to me. I can't handle it anymore. So be kind. But whatever helps engagement, I'm really happy with. Keep on watching for more videos. They're only going to get better and better. All right, see you next time.